So, in 2012, Animal Planet and Discovery Channel aired Mermaids, The Body Found, a documentary of a scientific team's investigation of a mysterious underwater recording of an unidentified marine being. The show begins by telling us in 1997, scientists recorded an anomaly in the deep Pacific. Its origins are unknown. Its given name is the bloop. Next, we are introduced to the beaching of whales due to Navy sonar weapons, with reports of something else washing up with the whales. In search of conclusive proof, he and his research team are called out to an unusual whale stranding in South Africa. Here they find the part digested remains of an animal none of them can identify. Each of its bodies are autopsied, they provide new pieces to the puzzle. An astonishing conclusion is building, that this new marine creature is related to humans. Now, this is quite the revolutionary sentiment on the evolution of man. It calls out the ancient question, are we truly alone on the spinning blue marble in the middle of countless galaxies and stars? And it answers, no. We are accompanied by another species that shares our own kind of thinking, of communication, our very DNA. Which may be an odd thought at first. Sure, we can connect with animals on a very intimate level. I love my bun bun. And there are many ways to classify intelligence, but to think that another species exists and shares in our thoughts, our dreams, our struggles, our way of language is something that intrigues me to my very core. What a profoundly eye-opening documentary. But it's all fake. The whole thing. Most of you probably saw that coming. Or not. I don't know. I want it to be real. It's just not. Side note, I really don't want to get copywritten as they seem really protective of their content, so I'm going to be super light on the clips. Okay, so let's essentially start over. What is Mermaids, The Body Found? Now, it did air on Animal Planet and Discovery Channel back in 2012, but it is not a factual documentary, though it is filmed and played completely straight as if it were that. And it is under the genre of sci-fi listed on IMDb, so Mermaids, The Body Found is actually known as a docufiction. It's a combination of documentary and fiction because that's what it is, made up. It describes a kind of hybrid genre. The first docufiction is known as Moana and has nothing to do with what you're all probably envisioning in your heads right now. There is no The Rock demigod or free-spirited island princess, and I am very, very sorry about that. This incarnation of Moana came out in 1924 by American filmmaker Robert J. Flaherty. Fun fact, Flaherty's first commercially successful project was a docudrama, which just means it features dramatized reenactments of actual events. This is otherwise known as documentary theater, but I digress. It was called Nuntuk of the North, which immediately seems familiar if you're a huge Avatar and Legend of Korra fan like me, as they have a spin-off called The Adventures of Nuktuk, Hero of the South. Anyway, that's the connection. That's pretty much all they have in common. Back to non-Disney Moana. The lead of this film is actually a man named Moana. It takes place on the Samoan island of Save. Similar to Nuntuk, he followed his usual procedure of casting locals whom he considered potentially photogenic performers into roles, including casting false family relationships. He also set up scenes. Apparently, the Samoans, thanks to Christian missionaries at the time, actually wore very typical Western clothing, so Flaherty had them dress up in more traditional clothing to fit what he wanted to capture. Oh, it also did really bad at the box office. But was he actively trying to deceive people? Disease people? But was he actually trying to deceive people? If he wanted to capture the authentic Samoans, he could have just done that. I mean, he didn't do a great job of hiding the truth. We've caught on to your ruse, Flaherty. I mean, what do you expect from the same man who poisoned himself in a cave on his own film stock? Yeah, he was fine. So why make a docufiction on mermaids in the first place? What value does this kind of filmmaking bring to channels branded as Animal Planet or Discovery Channel. What I'm saying is, why does this exist in our apocalypse year of 2012? Yeah, we're time traveling, by the way. From the hellscape of 2021 to the less hellscape of 2012. First, I want to talk about The Future is Wild, which was first released in 2002, the year of our Lord and Savior, Hilary Duff. This is a very informative video, I tell you. The Future is Wild was a mini-series show on how life could evolve in the future if humans were to disappear from the Earth. It broadcasted on Animal Planet and the Discovery Channel as well. It was styled to be like a nature documentary and may start to look kind of familiar to what is to come. The series did well. Warner Brothers almost picked it up for a film series in documentary style, of course. You can pretty safely say it was most likely inspired by After Man, a zoology of the future book, published in 1981, where it was descriptions and illustrations of creatures from Earth 50 million years in the future after the extinction of humanity. So, pretty much the same, yeah. So, in conclusion, this kind of stuff did fairly well on the channels. So, what if instead of speculating on the future, which no one can really prove or disprove, instead you make this? When you think about the timeline and other certain trends going on, like the History Channel, we got shows like Ancient Aliens in 2009, Finding Bigfoot 2011, Treasures Decoded 2012, bogus shows with little to no evidence on whatever they were trying to accomplish. I think it all starts to make sense when I found Mermaids The Body Found was also the network's most watched telecast since Steve Irwin's memorial special in September 2006. Point being, this stuff brings it in, and by stuff, I mean views. But here's the difference between those shows and Mermaid The Body Found. They are very careful to not insinuate that what they are saying is, in fact, the truth. There's a lot of potentially, or maybe, or possibility that maybe these wild claims could be true, but we're not saying that they are true. Except for the Bigfoot shows, they don't really care, but just replace it with Search for the Lost Giants and we're all good. The body just goes all the way and just completely makes everything up. Yeah, it's just complete fiction. A complete work of fiction. And I kind of weirdly respect that. Although I do think it's more upfront about it being science fiction. That's only if you were to look into it. But let's talk about that. The very first scene of the docufiction, the lead scientist, I don't think they gave him a name. They reaffirm us on how much he doesn't believe in conspiracy theories. I think it's a very interesting way to start off your documentary. It's a way of instilling a kind of legitimacy. It reminds me a lot of ghost shows.
I never believed in ghosts until I came face to face with one.
They reaffirm you that they have these strong convictions without actually having real compelling proof. Or just fake proof. Giving the audience that extra needed validation. You know, when they have to start talking about why they think mermaids are real, why the military is hiding them from us. Yes, you, the viewer. The military has them. We can make this happen. That's what's really in Area 51. Now, you might be thinking, if you don't believe in all these other conspiracies because of their lack of tangible evidence, then tell me.
Where's your proof?
Well, we've got things like Fake Navy Guy, who you can really trust old Warben Jagerman Jensen here. He's totally not an actor, and he's definitely seen them, you guys, the mermaids. He definitely kissed all the mermaids. No, I'd be so jealous. Another point of proof that they bring up is fishermen have found what looks to be crude spears, and they have really bad doctored photos with filters put over them. Then this guy pulls out a picture. It looks cool, bro, thanks. And eventually they come across a found body. The body found. Mermaid. The body found. We did it, guys. The docufake brings up this theory called the aquatic ape theory, which is real. Well, it is a real theory. Not proven, it's just a theory. It just states that our ancestors of modern humans took a divergent evolutionary pathway and became more aquatic than us. There is some interesting real elements that they clearly researched and sprinkled in with all the fake stuff. It is entertaining, I suppose, but the mixing of fiction and reality is kind of frustrating to me. Also, with the format, because I have to take all this with a grain of salt unless you want to do the research. Okay, because this aired on Animal Planet and the Discovery Channel, people thought it was real, and they are not happy when they find out that they were duped. Are actually pretty funny. Obvious fake that doesn't belong on Animal Planet or Discovery Channel. Fake documentary? Question. I thought this was a real documentary. Shame on Animal Planet and seriously, a steaming pile. Well-spoken. Highly entertaining. The moment when another scientist, a fake documentary, Webster appeared on screen. Ignore the shamers. By golly, this is a great pseudo documentary. I lack the words to express my disappointment and contempt for my fellow man. Absolute amazing piece of art, misunderstood and underappreciated. Discovery Channel, remove this piece of garbage. Mermaid stupidity found. That's a good one. And guess what? I was one of them. I saw this when it aired back in 2012, and it blew my child mind. Mermaids are real? The government's just a little scoundrel keeping those sexy mermaids all to themselves. And rewatching the documentary, I can kind of see some chinks in the armor now, like how every woman is very pretty and TV appropriate. The guys aren't ugly or anything. They look fine. Apparently, in the trivia, this documentary prompted calls from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, who wanted to know about the creatures and why they had been kept from them this entire time. I mean, I'd be frustrated too. It's sci-fi, guys. Can't you tell? It's not like anyone would purposely try to trick anyone for, money or views or... I mean, that'd just be ridiculous. The ocean is a fascinating place. It's very large and mysterious, and about 80% is yet to be discovered. But unfortunately, I think our chances of finding mermaids is slim to none. Unless we can convince the Navy to share. Give me my Guild GF, please. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I thought it was about time I drew myself a brand new avatar. The other one was just kind of like off the cuff, so this one should be a lot nicer, and I think it represents me a little bit more. I usually dress a bit more interesting than I portrayed myself in the last incarnation, so I think it encapsulated me a little bit more. Let me know, were you fooled by mermaids, the body found, or are you just finding out about this? And if the people who made that, I am really nervous about getting copyrighted, because doing research for this, like, videos were just gone. Like, I would see them, and I would save them, and they were just gone. I paid for this, by the way. It's on Amazon Prime. It's like $2, no big deal. But I would save videos and clips, and then they were just gone. They were gone. So I've used like nothing. I think I've done a very good job at sparingly using the material. So no taking this video down.